I'm sitting in the living room of my spacious colonial home in Connecticut when my son Brian walks in with paperwork. I've been pretending to have memory loss for 57 days now, asking the same questions, forgetting conversations, acting confused about familiar places. I thought this test would show my children's true character. Instead, Brian just handed me admission papers to Shady Pines Nursing Home. My daughter Diane stands behind him, arms crossed, wearing that same cold smile. I realize with horror that my little experiment has revealed something far darker than I ever imagined. My hands are shaking as I hold the papers. The letterhead swims before my eyes. Shady Pines Memory Care Facility. Admission date. This Friday, 3 days from now. Brian is watching me with an expression I can't quite read. Concern? Impatience? Something else entirely? "Mom, did you hear me?" he asks, his voice gentle but firm. "We need you to sign these forms." I force myself to stay in character. Confused, disoriented, lost. Sign what, honey? I don't understand. Diane steps forward, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "Walter and I refinished 20 years ago. It's for your safety, Mom. You can't live alone anymore, not after what happened last week." Last week. When I deliberately left the stove on and burned a pot of soup. When I called Brian 3 times in 1 hour, asking what day it was. When I got lost driving to the grocery store I've shopped at for 30 years, all part of my test. All carefully calculated. But I never expected this. 6 months ago, I buried my husband. Walter died of a heart attack at 68, leaving me a widow at 67. We had a good life together. A paid-off house worth $800,000. His life insurance paid out $400,000. Retirement accounts held another $600,000. Plus our savings. Close to $2 million total. More than enough for me to live comfortably for the rest of my life. The money was supposed to give me security, freedom, peace in my golden years. Instead, it brought out something ugly in my children. It started subtly. Brian, my older child at 42, is a real estate developer, always chasing the next big deal, always confident he's on the verge of something huge. He started visiting more after Walter's funeral, asking questions about my finances, suggesting I might want to downsize, invest differently, make some changes. Then Diane, 39 and working in pharmaceutical sales, joined in. Suddenly, both my children were very interested in my well-being, very concerned about me living alone, very curious about my financial situation. One night, about 3 months after Walter died, I woke up thirsty. I came downstairs for water and found them in Walter's office, going through his filing cabinet. They didn't hear me approach. "We need to move fast before she does something stupid with Dad's money," Brian was saying into his phone. "Maybe she'll remarry. Maybe she'll give it all to some charity. We need to secure our inheritance." I stood in the hallway, frozen, listening to my son discuss me like I was a problem to be solved, an obstacle between him and money. That's when I decided to test them. I started small, forgetting where I put my keys, asking what day it was, repeating questions I'd already asked. I wanted to see how they'd react. Would they be patient, loving, concerned for me as a person, not just as a wallet? Week by week, I escalated. I forgot appointments. I left the stove on. I asked where Walter was, even though I knew perfectly well he was gone. I even drove around the block a few times before coming home, then told Diane I'd gotten lost in my own neighborhood, and I watched. I documented everything in a journal I kept hidden in my bedroom closet. Their reactions, their whispered conversations, their increasing impatience. I expected concern. I expected love. I expected my children to rally around me with compassion. Instead, I got this: nursing home admission papers. "It's a really nice place, Mom," Brian is saying now. "We toured it last week. They have activities, good food, a beautiful garden. We've already paid the deposit," Diane adds. "You move in Friday." I look up at them, still playing my role. "But what about my house?" Brian's answer comes too quickly. "Don't worry about that. We'll handle everything. You won't have to think about bills or maintenance or any of it." Something cold settles in my stomach. "Handle everything?" "We'll take care of the house," Diane says smoothly. "Maybe rent it out, or we might need to sell it to cover your care costs." "Those places are expensive, Mom. They're already planning to take my home." I make myself look confused, lost. "I don't know. This is all so fast." "It has to be, Mom." Brian's voice has an edge now. "You're not safe here. What if you fall? What if you leave the stove on and burn the house down? What if you wander outside and get lost?" All things I did deliberately. All part of my test. They think I'm incompetent. They think I need to be managed. After an hour of discussion, they finally leave. I watch through the window as Brian's expensive SUV pulls out of my driveway. The moment they're gone, I drop the act. My mind is perfectly clear, sharp, angry. I go straight to my home office, to the safe Walter installed years ago. I know the combination by heart. Inside should be all our important documents: our will, the deed to the house, financial statements, power of attorney forms we never filled out because we trusted each other completely. I open the safe. Half of it is empty. My will is gone. The property deed is gone. Most of our financial statements are missing. What's left is a document I've never seen before: a power of attorney form, with my signature at the bottom, except I never signed it. I hold the paper up to the light. The signature looks like mine. The handwriting is close. But I never, ever signed this document. It gives Brian full control over my finances, my property, my healthcare decisions, everything. I sink into Walter's desk chair, the paper trembling in my hands. They've been planning this, not for days or weeks, for months. Probably since before Walter died, they've forged documents, stolen my legal papers, positioned themselves as concerned children while plotting to take everything. And I handed them the perfect excuse by pretending to have memory loss. Now I'm trapped. If I tell them the truth, if I reveal I was faking, they'll say the memory loss made me paranoid, delusional. They'll use my own test against me as proof I'm mentally unstable. But if I continue the act, they'll put me in that nursing home on Friday. And once I'm there, once I'm institutionalized, they'll have complete control. I have 3 days. 3 days to figure out how to escape the trap I set for myself. 3 days to stop my own children from stealing my entire life. Tuesday morning, I wake up with a plan. I need help. I need someone outside my family who knows me, who can vouch for my competence, who can witness what's happening. Helen, my neighbor and friend for 30 years. She's 71, a widow like me. We've had coffee together every week for decades. She knows me better than almost anyone. At 9 in the morning, I walk across our adjoining yards to her back door. She's in her kitchen, and her face lights up when she sees me. "Yvette, come in, come in. I was just making tea." I sit at her familiar kitchen table, and suddenly I'm crying, not acting, really crying. The relief of having someone to confide in overwhelms me. "Helen, I need your help. I need you to listen to everything I'm about to tell you, and I need you to believe me." Her expression shifts to concern. She takes my hands. "Of course, dear. What's wrong?" I tell her everything. The fake memory loss, the test, what I overheard, what I discovered, the nursing home, the forged power of attorney. All of it spills out. Helen listens, her eyes growing wider. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. "Oh, Yvette, this is serious. This is really serious." "I know. That's why I need your help. I need a witness. Someone who can testify that I'm competent, that I was testing them, that this is all a setup." She nods slowly. "My nephew is a lawyer in Hartford. Let me call him right now." Hope blooms in my chest for the first time in days. "You'll help me?" "Of course I'll help you. You're my dearest friend. We'll fight this together." We spend the next hour planning. Helen calls her nephew and leaves a message. We discuss documentation, evidence, what I'll need to prove Brian's fraud. For the first time since Brian handed me those papers, I feel like I might have a chance. "Don't worry," Helen says as I'm leaving. "We'll get through this. Justice will prevail." I hug her tightly. "Thank you. Thank you so much." That evening, I'm in my kitchen making dinner when the doorbell rings. I open it to find Brian, Diane, and a woman I don't recognize. She's in her 50s, professional-looking, carrying a leather briefcase. And behind them, Helen. My heart stops. "Mom, this is Dr. Patricia Morrison," Brian says. "She's a geriatric psychiatrist. We asked her to come talk to you." I stare at Helen. She won't meet my eyes. "Mrs. Henderson came to us today with some concerns," Dr. Morrison says gently. "May we come in?" I step back, numb. They file into my living room. My living room. In my house. Helen finally looks at me. "Yvette, honey, I'm worried about you. You came to me this morning with this elaborate story about pretending to have memory loss, about your children trying to steal from you. These kinds of paranoid delusions, they're a sign of something serious." "Delusions?" My voice cracks. "Helen, I told you the truth. I was testing them. That's what concerns us, Mom," Diane says softly. She has tears in her eyes. Actual tears. "You think you were pretending, but the memory problems are real. And now you're making accusations, seeing conspiracies that don't exist. We love you," Brian adds. "We're trying to help you, but you're getting worse. You're inventing these stories because the truth is too scary to face." Dr. Morrison opens her briefcase. "Mrs. Reynolds, I'd like to do a brief cognitive evaluation. Nothing invasive, just some questions. Is that all right? What choice do I have? If I refuse, it proves I'm uncooperative, unstable." "Fine," I say. She pulls out forms and a tablet. "Let's start simple. What's today's date?" I open my mouth and realize I don't know. I've been so focused on counting the days of my fake memory loss, 57 days, 58 days, that I've lost track of the actual date. "It's Tuesday," I say. "Tuesday what?" "Tuesday, I trail off. I don't know the exact date." She makes a note. "What year is it?" 2024. "I'm certain of that. Who is the current president?" I tell her. "Can you count backward from 100 by sevens?" 100, 93, 86. The math is easy, but my mind is racing. How did this happen? How did my confession to Helen turn into this? The evaluation continues. She asks me to remember 3 words and repeat them later. She has me draw a clock. She asks about my medications, my daily routine, my relationship with my children. And the whole time I'm angry, defensive, panicking, which makes me seem exactly how they want me to seem: agitated, paranoid, confused. By the end, Dr. Morrison is writing notes on her tablet. She looks at Brian and Diane, then at me. Mrs. Reynolds, I believe you're experiencing some cognitive decline, possibly accelerated by grief and stress. Your memory issues appear to be real, and the paranoid ideation about your family is concerning. I'm recommending immediate supervised care for your safety. No, I say. No, that's not what's happening. I was testing them. I can prove it. I have a journal. Where is this journal? Dr. Morrison asks kindly. In my bedroom closet, hidden in a hat box. Brian stands. I'll get it. No, I jump up. I'll get it. But Diane is already moving toward the stairs. I'll come with you, Mom. We go to my bedroom together. I pull down the hat box. Empty. It was here, I insist. I wrote in it every day. I documented everything. Diane's face is sympathetic. Maybe you thought about writing it down but didn't? Or maybe you put it somewhere else and forgot? I tear through my closet, under the bed, in all my drawers. The journal is gone. When we come back downstairs empty-handed, Dr. Morrison has finished her report. I'm recommending we move up the nursing home admission, she says. From Friday to tomorrow, Wednesday. I don't think it's safe for Mrs. Reynolds to remain unsupervised given her current state. Tomorrow? I feel the walls closing in. We just want you safe, Mom, Brian says. And for a moment, he sounds like the little boy I raised, the one who brought me dandelions from the yard, the one I held when he had nightmares. But then his eyes meet mine, and they're cold, calculating. After they all leave, I sit alone in my living room. My house feels foreign, hostile. Helen betrayed me, told them everything, turned my confession into evidence of insanity. I find out later, much later, that Brian held leverage over her. Helen's late husband had borrowed money from Brian for an investment that failed. $50,000. Brian told Helen he'd forgive the debt if she cooperated, if she told him anything I said. If she helped prove I was incompetent, she chose the money, chose protecting herself. And now I have less than 24 hours before they institutionalize me. The journal I kept so carefully, my only evidence, is gone. Either Brian or Diane found it and destroyed it. My attempt to get help has made everything worse. Now there's a medical professional's evaluation saying I'm paranoid and delusional. Now my claims of pretending sound like denial of illness. I've been perfectly outmaneuvered. Tomorrow they'll take me to Shady Pines. They'll lock me in a memory care unit, and they'll begin the process of taking everything I own. Wednesday morning arrives too soon. I barely slept. I packed a small bag with clothes, toiletries, a few photographs. What do you take when your children are erasing your life? Brian and his wife Amber arrive at 8 o'clock sharp. Amber has always been pleasant but distant. Today, she won't look at me. Ready, Mom? Brian asks. Can I come home on weekends? My voice sounds small. I hate it. Let's see how you adjust first. The drive to Shady Pines takes 30 minutes. Neither Brian nor Amber speaks much. I watch the familiar streets of my town pass by, wondering when I'll see them again. The facility is nicer than I expected. Modern building, well-maintained grounds, bright and clean inside. But when we enter the memory care unit, I hear the door lock behind us with an electronic buzz. We're buzzed in. Not out. In. A cheerful nurse named Sandra greets us. You must be Mrs. Reynolds. Welcome. Let me show you to your room. My room. As if I'll be here long enough for it to be mine. It's small but adequate. 2 beds, 2 dressers, a shared bathroom. One bed is already occupied by its owner's belongings. My roommate, I learn, is Martha, 84 years old, advanced dementia. She smiles at me vaguely when we're introduced and asks if I've seen her mother. I'm 67, fit, healthy, sharp-minded, and I'm the youngest person on this unit by at least a decade. Brian helps me unpack, or rather, he unpacks what he and Diane chose to bring. Most of my belongings are missing. "Where's my phone?" I ask. "Oh, I forgot it. I'll bring it next visit." "What about my laptop?" "It needs repairs. Diane's taking it to the shop." I have no way to contact the outside world. No phone, no computer, no connection to anything beyond these locked doors. After Brian leaves, Sandra shows me around, the common room with a television always tuned to old sitcoms, the dining area with tables bolted to the floor, the courtyard I can access only with staff supervision. "When can I call my lawyer?" I ask Sandra. She smiles kindly. "Of course. Family usually brings your personal items on visiting day. That's Sunday. You can make calls then." 4 more days. 4 days trapped here, with no contact outside. What if I need to call before then? It's urgent. "I can help you make an emergency call if needed, but it would have to go through our social worker first. We'll get that set up. Don't you worry." But I am worrying. Because I'm starting to understand the system, the rules, the procedures. Everything designed to keep residents safe and contained. Everything that works perfectly to keep me trapped. That afternoon, I try talking to other residents. Most can't hold a conversation. Martha asks me 6 times in an hour if I know where her mother is. A man named Frank thinks I'm his daughter and cries when I try to explain I'm not. I'm living in a place designed for people whose minds have left them, and I'm fully present for every moment of it. By evening, I'm exhausted. Not physically, mentally. The weight of being locked in here, of watching my life slip away, of knowing my children did this deliberately. I lie in my bed while Martha snores in hers. The lights are dimmed but never fully dark. Every 15 minutes, someone walks past our door to check on us. I'm being monitored constantly. And somewhere out there, Brian has access to my bank accounts, my house, my life. Sunday finally arrives. Visiting day. I've spent 4 days learning the routine of this place. Meals at set times. Activities I don't need. Medication dispensed from a locked cart, though I'm on nothing except a multivitamin. Constant supervision. I'm waiting in the common room when Brian arrives. Alone. No Diane. No phone. Instead, he has a folder of papers. "How are you settling in, Mom?" "Where's my phone, Brian?" "I have some paperwork for you to look at. Just updating some things." Medicare forms. He spreads papers on the table between us. I pick up the first one and start reading. It's not a Medicare form. It's a durable power of attorney. Comprehensive. Giving Brian control over every aspect of my finances, my property, my healthcare decisions. The second document is authorization to sell my house. The third is a transfer of my investment accounts into a family trust, a trust Brian controls. "No," I say. "I'm not signing these." "Mom, we need to get your affairs in order. You're incurring significant expenses here. $9,000 a month. We need access to your funds to pay for your care." $9,000. They're draining my accounts while I sit locked in here. I said no. I push the papers back across the table. Brian's expression changes. The mask of concern drops. What's underneath is cold, hard. "You're going to sign these, Mom, one way or another." "I won't." He leans close. His voice drops to a whisper. "Then you'll never leave this place." I'll have you declared incompetent. The doctor's evaluation already shows you're paranoid and confused. I'll get guardianship. You'll die here, Mom. Old and alone. Never seeing your grandchildren again. Never going home. Is that what you want? I meet his eyes. My son. The baby I nursed. The boy I taught to ride a bike. The young man I helped through college. He's threatening to bury me alive. Get out, I say quietly. Sign the papers. Get out. Sandra hurries over. Is everything all right here? Brian stands, gathering his papers. His expression shifts instantly back to concerned son. Mom's having a difficult day. I'll come back when she's feeling better. He leaves. I sit there shaking. Sandra pats my shoulder. Family visits can be overwhelming. Why don't you rest in your room? I go to my room. I lie on my bed. And I realize the full horror of my situation. I'm locked in a facility I don't need to be in. My son is stealing my money to pay for my imprisonment. If I refuse to cooperate, he'll escalate to full guardianship. And I have no way to fight back because I have no access to the outside world. My test revealed the truth about my children, but the truth has trapped me in a nightmare I can't escape. I spend the next few days in a fog of despair. Every morning, I wake up in that small room with Martha, asking where her mother is. Every meal is eaten in the dining room under fluorescent lights. Every moment is supervised, controlled, contained. But on Thursday night, something changes. The night shift arrives, and one of the aides is a young woman I haven't seen before. Her name tag says Crystal. She's maybe 26, with kind eyes and gentle hands as she helps Martha get ready for bed. After Martha's asleep, Crystal lingers. You're different from the other residents, she says quietly. I look up at her. What do you mean? You're aware, present. You don't seem like you have dementia. I choose my words carefully. I don't belong here. Then why are you here? It's a risk. She could report me. But something in her face makes me take the chance. My children put me here. They want my money. Crystal is silent for a long moment. Then, my grandmother was put in a place like this by my uncle. He wanted her house. She died 6 months later. Her voice breaks. She was perfectly fine mentally, just old and alone, and no one believed her. I'm sorry, I whisper. Me too. She looks toward the door, checking we're not overheard. What do you need? A phone. Just for a few minutes. To call a lawyer. I could lose my job. I know. And I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate. She thinks about it. Then, tomorrow night, 11 o'clock. When everyone else is asleep, I'll let you use mine. 5 minutes. That's all I can risk. Thank you. Tears stream down my face. Thank you. The next night, Friday, Crystal keeps her promise. At 11, she slips into my room and hands me her phone. My hands shake as I dial my bank. The automated system lets me check my balance. $600,000 in October. Now, in December, it's $375,000. $225,000 gone in 2 months. I call my mortgage company next. A recorded message informs me the property is in escrow. Closing date, 3 weeks from today. Brian is selling my house. Without my knowledge, without my permission. Crystal takes her phone back. Did you find what you needed? Worse than I thought. Over the next few nights, Crystal and I form an unlikely alliance. She's breaking rules, risking her job, because she couldn't save her grandmother, but maybe she can save me. She helps me call a lawyer. I find an elder law attorney named Grace Holloway. Her voicemail says she specializes in financial exploitation and elder abuse. I leave a message explaining everything. Grace calls Crystal's phone back 2 nights later. Crystal hands it to me at midnight, while Martha snores and the unit is quiet. Mrs. Reynolds, I got your message. What you're describing is elder abuse and financial exploitation. Both are crimes. But getting you out of that facility is complicated. Can't you just come get me? Not without a court order. You were placed there by family with a doctor's recommendation. To release you, I need to prove you're being held unlawfully. That requires evidence that you're competent and that your placement was fraudulent. But I am competent. I'm talking to you right now. I believe you. But I need official documentation, and you need to get out of there so we can file the proper motions. It's a catch-22. I'm here because I'm supposedly incompetent, but I can't prove I'm competent while I'm locked in here. There's something else, Grace says. If your son is stealing from you, he's moving fast. We need to stop him before he liquidates everything. What do I do? We need to move faster than he is. But first, we need you out of there. The next Tuesday, 1 week after Brian's threatening visit, Crystal comes to me during her shift, looking shaken. Brian filed something. In court, I overheard Sandra talking about it. I feel cold all over. What did he file? Emergency guardianship. The hearing is in 5 days. I managed to get to Grace on Crystal's phone that night. Guardianship? I'm trying not to panic. What does that mean? It means if it's granted, Brian becomes your legal guardian. He'll have complete control over your person and your estate. You'll have no legal rights. You won't be able to hire me or any lawyer. You won't be able to contest anything he does. You'll essentially become legally equivalent to a child. Can he do that? If he convinces a judge you're incompetent and need a guardian, yes. And he has Dr. Morrison's evaluation. He has your residency in a memory care facility. He has witness statements from your neighbor. He's built a compelling case. How do I stop it? You need to be at that hearing. You need to testify. Show the judge you're competent. But the facility won't release you without family permission. I'm trapped. The hearing that will determine my entire future is in 5 days, and I can't even attend it. Wednesday afternoon, I get an unexpected visitor, Diane. She looks terrible. Thin, dark circles under her eyes. She sits across from me in the common room and doesn't speak for a long moment. "Mom, I need you to know something," she finally says. "I didn't want it to go this far. Hope flares. Then help me, please. Help me get out of here. I can't." She's crying now. Brian has. He's not who I thought he was. He's obsessed. About the money. About controlling everything. Then testify for me. At the hearing, tell the judge the truth. If I do that, he'll destroy me. He has evidence that Todd had an affair 2 years ago. He says if I don't cooperate, he'll send it to Todd's company. Todd will lose his job. We'll lose everything. So Brian is blackmailing his own sister, coercing her into helping steal from their mother. We're both his victims, I say. Diane nods miserably. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. She gets up to leave. At the door, she hesitates. Then she walks back and slips something into my hand. A small phone. Burner phone. Use it carefully, she whispers. Don't let anyone see it. And don't tell Brian I gave it to you. After she leaves, I hide the phone in my pillowcase. It's not much, but it's something. I call Grace immediately. 5 days, Grace says. We have 5 days to build a defense and get you to that hearing. If he gets guardianship, it's almost impossible to undo. What's the worst-case scenario? Grace is quiet for a moment. Brian sells your house, transfers all liquid assets, gets guardianship. You spend the rest of your life institutionalized while he spends your money. And there's nothing you can do about it, because you have no legal standing to challenge him. That night, I can't sleep. Martha is snoring. The night is dark, and I'm counting down the hours until my entire life is legally handed over to my son. 4 days until the hearing. 3 weeks until my house closes. And I'm locked in here, powerless, watching my life disappear. Saturday night. 2 days before the guardianship hearing, Crystal finds me in the common room. "I have an idea," she whispers. "It's crazy. I could get fired, maybe even arrested, but I can't watch this happen to you." "What is it?" "I can get you out of here. Tonight." My heart pounds. "How?" "Night shift. There's only 2 of us on the floor. I'll create a distraction. Tell my coworker there's an issue in another room. You walk out the side door. I'll make sure it's unlocked. You have maybe 5 minutes before anyone notices." "Then what?" "I have no car, no money, nowhere to go. Call your lawyer. Have her pick you up. There's a diner 3 miles from here. It's open all night. Can you walk that far?" "I can run that far if I have to. If you do this, I'm done here. They'll fire me, maybe press charges." I take her hands. "Why are you doing this?" "Because my grandma couldn't fight back. But you can. So, fight." Her eyes are fierce. "Promise me you'll fight." "I promise." At 2 in the morning, I'm dressed in my own clothes for the first time in 2 weeks. Sweatpants, sneakers, a jacket, the burner phone in my pocket. Crystal nods to me. She goes to the nurse's station and starts talking urgently to her coworker. "Mrs. Patterson fell. I need help." They both hurry down the hall. I walk to the side door. My hands are shaking. The door has a keypad. But true to her word, Crystal has left it unlocked. I push it open. Cold December air hits my face. I step outside. For the first time in 2 weeks, I'm free. I start walking. Fast. The streets are empty at this hour. I navigate by memory and the occasional street sign. My legs ache. I'm not used to this much exercise, but I keep going. 3 miles feels like 30. But finally, I see the lights of the diner. I stumble inside. The waitress takes one look at me and brings coffee without asking. I pull out the burner phone and call Grace. "It's Yvette. I'm out. Can you come get me?" "Out? How?" "Long story. I'm at the Silver Star Diner on Route 7. I'm 40 minutes away. Stay there. Order something. Try to look normal. I'm coming." Grace arrives at 4 in the morning. She's in her 50s, sharp-eyed, wearing sweatpants and no makeup. She takes in my appearance and nods. "Let's go. We have work to do." We go to her office. She makes more coffee, pulls out files and laptop. The hearing is Monday morning, 9 o'clock. We have roughly 30 hours to prepare. We work through the morning. She documents everything I tell her. The fake memory loss, the test, what I overheard, the missing documents, the forged power of attorney, Dr. Morrison's evaluation, Helen's betrayal, everything. "We need evidence," Grace says. "Right now, it's your word against multiple witnesses who say you're incompetent. I know where evidence is. In Brian's house. On his computer. If you break in, anything you find is inadmissible. But it would show you where to look legally, right? What to subpoena?" Grace looks at me. "Legally, I can't advise you to commit a crime. I'm not asking for legal advice. I'm telling you what I'm going to do." Sunday afternoon, my phone rings. Brian. Grace has gotten me a prepaid cell phone with a new number. The burner phone only Brian and Diane have. "Where are you?" he demands. Not telling you. The facility reported you missing. I filed a police report. You're a vulnerable adult who wandered away from care. Police are looking for you. My stomach drops. I'm not just an escapee. I'm officially a missing person who's considered incompetent. I'm with my lawyer, I say. Your lawyer. Right. This paranoid delusion about needing a lawyer is exactly why you need a guardian, Mom. See you in court tomorrow, I say, and hang up. That evening, Grace and I drive to Brian's house in the suburbs. It's a large colonial in an upscale neighborhood, the kind of house built on credit and ambition. I can't go with you, Grace says. I'm an officer of the court. I know. Wait here. I still have keys to their house from when I used to babysit my grandchildren. I wait until I see Brian's SUV and Amber's sedan leave. I watch them drive away to dinner. I let myself in through the back door. Their house is quiet. Expensive furniture. Family photos on the walls. In one of them, Brian is maybe 10 years old, gap-toothed and smiling. His arm is around me. I'm young, happy. I thought I knew how his life would turn out. I was so wrong. His office is upstairs. The computer is password protected. I try Walter's birthday. Nothing. Brian's birthday. Nothing. Then I try my grandchildren's birthdays. It opens. What I find is worse than I imagined. Spreadsheets tracking every dollar he's taken from my accounts. $225,000. Some transferred to offshore accounts. Some used to pay his gambling debts. Some just spent. Gambling debts. $300,000 to various casinos and bookies. My son has a gambling addiction, and he's funding it with my life savings. I find the forged power of attorney on his computer. Multiple versions, practicing my signature. I find emails between him and Diane. Once she's in the nursing home, we can move faster. She'll never know. Get her to sign everything before she realizes what's happening. I find correspondence with the real estate agent about my house sale. Most damning, I find an email to one of his business partners dated 3 weeks ago. Once I get guardianship, the old lady's money is mine. She'll never leave that facility. I'll bleed her dry, and she can't do a thing about it. I'm photographing everything with the burner phone when I hear the garage door open. They're home early. I freeze. The front door opens downstairs. Brian's voice. I forgot my wallet. I hear him on the stairs. There's no time to leave, no time to hide. I'm caught. Brian walks into his office and stops dead. What are you doing here? Finding the truth, I say. He sees the phone in my hand. The computer screen. His face goes red. You broke into my house. That's illegal. Breaking and entering. He pulls out his own phone. I'm calling the police. You've just proven you're incompetent and dangerous. Amber appears behind him. Brian, what's happening? My mother broke into our house. She's out of her mind. I found evidence, I say to Amber, of everything he's done. The money he's stolen. The documents he forged. All of it. She's delusional, Brian says, but his voice is too loud, too defensive. Amber looks between us. What money? Amber, don't listen to her. What money, Brian? He calls the police. Within 20 minutes they arrive. They find me in Brian's office, an elderly woman who officially left a memory care facility without permission, who broke into her son's house, who's making wild accusations. They arrest me. I'm put in handcuffs, read my rights, driven to the police station. I'm 67 years old, and I'm being arrested for the first time in my life. Brian has won. I've given him the perfect ammunition. Now I'm not just supposedly incompetent, I'm a criminal. The hearing is in 12 hours, and I'm sitting in a holding cell. They release me at 6 in the morning. Grace has been working through the night, and she's waiting at the station. We have 3 hours until court, she says. And you look terrible. I haven't slept. I'm wearing the same clothes I escaped the facility in. I'm exhausted, scared, and defeated. He's won, I say. I have a criminal record now. I'll never convince a judge I'm competent. We're not giving up. Get in the car. She takes me to her house, makes me shower, gives me clean clothes, forces me to eat breakfast, briefs me on what to expect. At 8:30, we drive to the courthouse. Brian is already there with his lawyer, a sharp-looking man in an expensive suit. Diane is with them. Helen, Dr. Morrison, the staff from Shady Pines, all lined up to testify against me. I look terrible. Brian looks composed, professional, concerned. The judge, Margaret Brennan, is in her 60s. She has a reputation for being fair, but no nonsense. Brian's lawyer presents his case first. It's devastating. Dr. Morrison testifies about her evaluation. Mrs. Reynolds showed clear signs of cognitive decline and paranoid delusions. She believes her family is conspiring against her, which is a common symptom in dementia patients. Helen testifies next. She came to me claiming she'd been pretending to have memory loss. It was heartbreaking. She didn't understand that the memory problems were real. The facility administrator. Mrs. Reynolds was volatile, uncooperative. She fled our care and walked 3 miles in the middle of the night. She clearly can't make sound decisions about her welfare. Then they bring up the breaking and entering charge. Just last night, Mrs. Reynolds broke into her son's home. This kind of criminal behavior demonstrates she's a danger to herself and others. Character witnesses describe Brian as devoted, patient, concerned. Diane cries as she testifies about watching her mother decline. They paint a picture of a loving son trying to protect his incompetent, dangerous mother. When it's our turn, Grace calls me to the stand. I tell my story, the fake memory loss, the test, what I overheard, everything I discovered. Brian's lawyer objects repeatedly. This is paranoid fantasy, Your Honor. I describe the forged power of attorney, the missing documents, the stolen money, Brian's threats. Do you have evidence of any of this? Judge Brennan asks. I found evidence on my son's computer. I took photos. Evidence you obtained by breaking into his home, Brian's lawyer says. Illegally obtained evidence is inadmissible. Judge Brennan sustains the objection. The photos can't be used. Without evidence, I sound exactly like they say I am. Delusional, paranoid, making accusations without proof. I watch the judge's face. She's sympathetic, but skeptical. My story sounds crazy, and I look like someone who's having a breakdown. Grace does her best. She questions the objectivity of the witnesses. She points out Brian's financial motive, but it's not enough. We're losing. I can feel it. Judge Brennan is about to call a recess when the courtroom door opens. Crystal walks in. She looks terrified. She's wearing jeans and a sweater. No longer in scrubs. No longer employed. Your Honor, Grace says quickly, I have one more witness. Judge Brennan looks irritated. Counselor, we're running late. This witness has direct evidence of coercion and fraud. Please. Fine. Make it quick. Crystal takes the stand. Her voice shakes as she's sworn in. State your name and occupation. Crystal Martinez. I was a nurse's aide at Shady Pines Memory Care until I was fired 3 days ago for helping Mrs. Reynolds escape. You helped her leave the facility? Yes, ma'am. Because she didn't belong there. She was sharp, aware, completely competent, and I witnessed her son threaten her. You witnessed this? Yes. During visiting hours 1 week ago, I was nearby. He told her if she didn't sign papers, she'd never leave the facility. He'd have her declared incompetent, and she'd die there. Brian's lawyer jumps up. Objection. Hearsay. I recorded it, Crystal says. The courtroom goes silent. You recorded the conversation? Judge Brennan asks. Yes, Your Honor. I had my phone in my pocket. After he left, Mrs. Reynolds was so upset. I started recording family visits after that in case something like this happened. Grace is trying not to smile. May we hear this recording? Crystal pulls out her phone, plays the audio. Brian's voice, clear and unmistakable. You're going to sign these, Mom, one way or another. Then you'll never leave this place. I'll have you declared incompetent. You'll die here, Mom. Old and alone. Is that what you want? The recording plays in the silent courtroom. When it ends, no one moves. Brian has gone white. That's taken out of context. I was trying to help her understand. Understand what? Judge Brennan's voice is ice. That you'd imprison her if she didn't comply? It's not what it sounds like. Grace stands. Your Honor, I'd like to call Brian Reynolds' wife as a witness. Brian's lawyer. Objection. She's not on the witness list. She's present in the courtroom, and I believe she has relevant testimony. Judge Brennan looks at Amber, who's sitting in the back. Mrs. Reynolds, approach the bench. Amber walks forward slowly. She looks at Brian, then at me, then at the judge. Mrs. Reynolds, do you have information relevant to these proceedings? Amber is crying. Yes, Your Honor. Are you willing to testify? If I'm given immunity from prosecution, Judge Brennan and the attorneys have a quick sidebar. Then, granted, testify. Amber takes the stand. And she tells everything. The forged power of attorney, how Brian practiced my signature for weeks, the stolen documents from my safe, Brian's gambling debts, $300,000 to casinos and bookies, how he'd been planning this even before Walter died, how desperate he was, how she'd been terrified of him. I knew it was wrong, Amber sobs. But he's my husband. He said we'd lose everything. He said it was just money his mom wouldn't need anyway. He made it sound reasonable. But then she was locked in that place, and he was threatening her, and I realized what we'd become. She looks at me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Judge Brennan calls a recess. 30 minutes later, we reconvene. I've heard enough, she says. The petition for guardianship is denied. Furthermore, I'm finding evidence of financial exploitation, elder abuse, and fraud. I'm ordering Mr. Patient, Brian Reynolds, to return all assets to Mrs. Yvette Reynolds immediately. I'm issuing a restraining order preventing Brian Reynolds from contacting his mother or accessing her accounts. And I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for criminal prosecution. She looks at me. Mrs. Reynolds, I apologize that it took this long to see the truth. You're clearly competent and have been the victim of a calculated scheme. Your rights are fully restored. Then she looks at Brian. Mr. Reynolds, you should retain a criminal attorney. You're going to need one. Brian is escorted out by court officers. He doesn't look at me. Diane approaches afterward. Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have stood up to him sooner. I should have protected you. I look at my daughter. She's crying, broken. And part of me wants to comfort her. But another part, the part that spent 2 weeks locked in a facility, can't quite forgive yet. We'll talk, I say. Later, but not today. Grace drives me home. To my actual home, the house Walter and I built our life in. The for sale sign is still in the yard, but Grace has already filed emergency motions to stop the sale. I walk through my front door. Everything is exactly as I left it, but nothing feels the same. I'm free. My rights are restored. Brian is facing criminal charges. But the house sale went through this morning, before the hearing. $800,000 transferred to Brian's account and immediately moved offshore. My biggest asset is gone. The first night back in my own house, I can't sleep. I keep waking up expecting to hear Martha snoring, expecting to see fluorescent lights and locked doors. It takes me 3 days to feel safe enough to sleep through the night. Grace works tirelessly. We file emergency motions to reverse the house sale. The investigation reveals Brian used forged documents to complete the transaction. The sale is declared fraudulent and void. The buyers, a young couple from California who knew nothing about the fraud, are compensated from Brian's seized assets. My house is returned to me 2 weeks after the hearing. The financial recovery takes longer. A forensic accountant traces every dollar Brian stole. Much was gambled away. More was transferred to offshore accounts. But over the following months, investigators recover most of it. Of the $225,000 he took, I get back $190,000. The rest is gone forever. But I still have my house, my remaining savings, my investments. In total, I've recovered approximately $1.6 million of my original $2 million estate. I'm not whole, but I'm not destitute either. Brian's criminal trial happens 6 months later in June. I sit in the courtroom every day. Amber testifies against him. So does Diane. Crystal, the forensic accountant. Grace presents the emails, the spreadsheets, the forged documents. The evidence is overwhelming. The jury deliberates for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Elder abuse, financial exploitation, fraud, forgery. The judge sentences him to 8 years in prison. He's also ordered to pay full restitution, though we all know most of that money is gone. 8 years. My son will be 50 when he gets out. I feel nothing when they take him away. Not satisfaction, not grief, just emptiness. Diane comes to see me a week after the sentencing. She brings my grandchildren, her kids, not Brian's. 2 girls, 13 and 11. They barely know me. We've been estranged for so long. Mom, I don't expect you to forgive me, Diane says. What I did, staying silent while he hurt you, it's unforgivable. But I want to try, if you'll let me. I look at my daughter. Really look at her. She's lost weight. She looks older than her 39 years. She's started therapy, she tells me, working on herself. On why she let Brian control her. Why she valued her marriage more than her mother's freedom. I want to try too, I say, but it's going to take time. I know. I'll take whatever time you'll give me. Over the following months, we rebuild. Slowly, carefully. She brings the girls to visit. We have awkward dinners that gradually become less awkward. She tells me about her life, her fears, her regrets. I tell her about those 2 weeks in Shady Pines, what it felt like to be locked away, to watch my life stolen, to be betrayed by my own children. We both cry, a lot, but slowly. We heal. Crystal becomes one of my closest friends. After being fired from Shady Pines, she struggled to find work. No facility wanted to hire someone who'd helped a resident escape, even if it was the right thing to do. I write her letters of recommendation. I make calls on her behalf. When she gets accepted to nursing school, I offer to pay her tuition. I can't accept that, she says. You saved my life. This is the least I can do. She graduates 2 years later, top of her class. I'm in the audience, crying with pride. She's like the daughter I wish I'd raised. Helen, my former friend and neighbor, is a different story. When the truth comes out, the whole community learns what she did. How she betrayed me for money. How she testified against me to protect herself. She becomes a pariah. People cross the street to avoid her. She leaves notes in my mailbox, apologizing, begging for forgiveness. I see her once, 6 months after the trial. She looks old, broken. She cries and tells me Brian had threatened to sue her deceased husband's estate. She was scared. She made a terrible choice. I understand why you did it, I tell her. I understand desperation and fear and impossible choices. But we won't be friends again. Some betrayals cut too deep. She nods, accepts it, moves away 3 months later. I sue Dr. Morrison for malpractice. Her evaluation of me was grossly negligent. She never conducted proper tests. She never investigated Brian's motives. She rubber-stamped his plan to institutionalize me without due diligence. She settles out of court for $75,000 and surrenders her medical license. She'll never evaluate another patient. I also sue Shady Pines for unlawful confinement. They kept me locked in their facility based on a fraudulent placement. They refused to help me contact a lawyer. They allowed Brian unrestricted access to me, despite his threats. They settle for $200,000. The money goes into a foundation I establish, the Yvette Reynolds Fund for Elder Rights Advocacy. It provides legal assistance to seniors fighting financial exploitation and improper guardianship. Brian's sons, my grandsons, are 15 and 17 when their father goes to prison. Amber brings them to see me. They're angry, confused, ashamed. Their father is a criminal. Their grandmother is a stranger. I know this isn't fair to you, I tell them. You didn't choose this. You didn't do anything wrong. He said you were sick, the older boy says. He said you didn't know what you were doing, that we were helping you. He lied to you. He lied to everyone. Amber is crying. I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm sorry I let him use the boys like that. I look at these 2 teenagers. They're innocent victims of their father's greed. You're still my grandsons, I say. What your father did doesn't change that. If you want a relationship with me, I'm here. It takes time. Lots of time. But over the following years, we build something. Not what it should have been, but something real. I help pay for their college. I go to their graduations. I meet their girlfriends and eventually their wives. When they have children of their own, I'm Grandma Yvette. Present, involved, loving. They never visit their father in prison. That relationship is broken beyond repair, but ours isn't. 1 year after the guardianship hearing, I'm back in my house. Truly back. I've redecorated, changed things, made the house mine instead of the house Walter and I shared. It's Thanksgiving, a small gathering. Diane and her family, Crystal and her boyfriend, Grace, who's become a dear friend. Amber and her sons arrive tentatively. This is the first holiday we've attempted together. We sit around my table. The table Walter built 30 years ago. We hold hands, and I say grace. I'm thankful for second chances, for truth, for justice, for the people who stood up for what was right when it would have been easier to look away. For family, the one we're born into and the one we choose. Crystal squeezes me hand. After dinner, Grace raises her glass. To Yvette, the strongest woman I know. To Yvette, they echo. I look around the table at these faces, some related by blood, some by choice, some by circumstance. This is my family now. Not the family I had, not the family I expected, but a family built on truth and respect and genuine love. Later, after everyone leaves, I sit in my living room, the same room where Brian handed me those nursing home papers 15 months ago. The moment that started this nightmare, I think about the test I devised, the 2 months I spent pretending to have memory loss, how clever I thought I was, how I wanted to see who my children really were. I found out. But the truth nearly destroyed me. I learned that you can't test people you're supposed to trust. Either you trust them or you don't. And if you don't, no test will fix that. I learned that protecting yourself isn't paranoid. It's necessary. Proper legal documents, trusted advisors outside the family, boundaries. I learned that elder abuse is real, that financial exploitation happens in good families and bad ones, that the people who should love you most can hurt you deepest. But I also learned that there are good people. People like Crystal who risk everything to do what's right. People like Grace who fight for justice. People like Amber who find the courage to tell the truth. I learned that you're never too old to fight for yourself, never too old to demand justice, never too old to rebuild. I lost 2 months of freedom, nearly $1 million. One of my 2 children, probably forever, my sense of safety, my naive trust. But I gained something too. I gained the knowledge that I'm stronger than I knew, that I can survive betrayal and institutionalization and court battles and still come out whole. I gained real relationships, built on honesty instead of obligation. I gained purpose. The foundation I created has helped 17 seniors escape exploitation in the past year. 17 people who might have ended up like me, or worse, if someone hadn't fought for them. And I gained wisdom. Hard-won, painful wisdom. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't wait 60 days. Don't test them. When they reveal their character, act. Protect yourself legally. No matter how much you trust your family, love doesn't require giving up your autonomy. Financial exploitation is insidious. It starts small. A request here, a suggestion there. By the time you realize what's happening, you're trapped. Fight back. Always fight back. You're never too powerless, too old, too confused to deserve justice. And finally, I learned that healing is possible. Not forgetting, not pretending nothing happened, but actual healing. The scars remain. I still sometimes wake up thinking I'm in that facility. I still feel a jolt of fear when I see Brian's name on legal documents. I still struggle to trust. But I'm here, in my house, living my life, on my terms. Brian gets out of prison in 6 years. I don't know what will happen then. If he'll try to contact me. If he'll apologize. If he'll be a different person or the same one who threatened to let me die alone in a nursing home, I do know that I'll be ready. I have legal protections now, restraining orders, a will that explicitly disinherits him, power of attorney documents naming Grace and Crystal, people I actually trust. He can't hurt me again. I won't let him. I'm 70 now. 3 years since this all began. I'm healthy, active, involved in my community. I speak at senior centers about financial exploitation. I volunteer with the foundation. I spend time with my grandchildren. I have a good life. Not the life I expected, not the retirement Walter and I planned, but it's mine, truly, completely mine. And that's worth more than all the money Brian stole. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt like you couldn't trust the people closest to you? Have you or someone you love ever faced elder abuse or financial exploitation? How do you protect yourself while still maintaining family relationships? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's struggling with these same questions. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps others find these important stories. And subscribe to this channel for more real-life accounts of overcoming adversity and fighting for justice. Share this story with anyone you know who might need to hear it. Anyone who works with seniors. Anyone who's concerned about protecting their loved ones or themselves. The more people understand how financial exploitation happens, the more we can prevent it. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. I hope that wherever you are, whatever struggles you're facing, you remember that you're stronger than you know, that justice is possible, that healing is real, and that it's never too late to fight for yourself. Take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time.